Hello everyone, welcome to EU Open Days in Brussels. I'm Christina from social media team of the European Parliament, and I'm here with my colleagues Vasilis on the iPad.
Hello Christina, hello everyone.
Eva and Marian and Mirtu are behind the phone, they're saying hi. Hello. And I am here with a member of the Parliament, a journalist and a documentary filmmaker, Mr. Stelios Kouloglou. I've been practicing the last name of the pronunciation.
Yes. A lot of people must practice to tell the correct.
We're going to be discussing fake news, but before we start, Vasilis has some announcements.
Please send us questions and comments. I'll be taking those. I'll be looking at them. Please comment and send questions for Mr. Kouloglou. I will put as many as possible to him. And after the interview, we'll take you on a tour of the Parliament, and you'll see all the activities taking place here today during the open day. But for the moment, back to you, Christina.
With a selfie stick.
Oh yeah, it will be shaky.
It will be shaky, and you will be witnessing us not falling and doing embarrassing things. Okay, thank you very much for being our guest today. You have just participated in a debate that was all about fake news and freedom of speech. So why is this something that we are concerned about here in the European Parliament?
Well, it's a little bit of fashion, but it's also a reality. Because everybody now is talking about fake news. Fake news is not a new phenomenon. You know, we had fake news since the moment of the press, of the moment of the information newspapers appeared. And there were wars based on fake news and and propaganda, which is a kind of fake news also. For instance, as I said during the debate, the invasion of Iraq in 2003 was based on a lot of fake news. Yes. 25 actually. I have collected at the time 25 fake news, to justify the war. The new phenomenon, of course, what happened now, and we're talking about, because is the spread of the social media. And the social media, with the newspapers and the televisions, you could control them in a way, but social media are not controlled anymore.
And they speeded it up.
And this is also something we have to take into account and to see how we can manage, because of course it's a problem. Citizens must be well informed to take the right political decisions for their and also the decisions for their life.
And we see this in recent examples with Facebook and all of these data breaches. Do you think that we have a situation now where democracy is in kind of danger of?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The social media and the internet as it became to be right now, and also artificial intelligence are threatening the democracy and our civilization, I guess. It's real. It's serious.
It's real. Yeah.
It's serious. Robots, in a certain moment, could take control of the governments of our lives.
Especially with the false information pumping into the government.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll give you an example. If we, and I said, it's about the Google and the Googling and what appears
in search.
In the search, because we think when we search in the Google, we think that the 1, 2, 3 first choices are the correct choices, and so most of the people are trying the 1, 2, 3, and they're not going.
They never scroll down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what I gave an example during the debate, that if there is a social post saying that there is a debate about fake news in the Parliament, few people would like to visit and see what really happened. But if you had an information that naked deputies in the Parliament are talking about fake news, everybody would run to see what's happened, and then what we have as a result, that the Google will present the fake news first, and after many months and days, etc., this will remain first. So in a way, history is also rewritten by the Google, the way, and the fake news.
So we need to be critical about it when we are using internet, and when we are reading newspapers nowadays. We have to be critical of what we are actually consuming.
And very critical, and we have to be re-educated.
Yes.
And we have to start education from the young people, you know, and from the children, the kids, because before, in the last centuries, education, learning the alphabet was essential for the development of the societies and the democratization of the societies. Everybody, you know, people without any knowledge, without knowing how to read and write, were people completely lost. You know, they could not decide for anything. They were manipulated by the power, the authority, the kings, etc. Now we see young pupils of 2, 3 years old playing with
iPads,
with the iPads and their mobiles of their parents.
Yes.
So and they have to learn the digital alphabet to distinguish the fake news from the truth.
Yes.
And there are yes.
Yeah. But you, as a journalist, what would you say is the position of a journalist in this entire problematic thing that we have now about fake news?
Well, journalists also, and the decline of journalism
Yes.
is another reason for the spread of fake news.
Yes.
Because now a lot of people do not trust the journalists. More people do not trust the journalists than before, much more people, for different reasons. We can discuss a lot about them. But now journalists are not trusted. And the other thing is that we have to, one of the solutions is to support, and the Commission and the European Parliament support the public
and the whistleblowers
and the public media.
Yes.
The public media, because there is a study recently. I was talking about after the debate. Now there is a study looking the countries that were less informed and the citizens less informed you know, and this is completely related to the existence of public media or not. For instance, the less informed, the most ignorant people are in the United States. In the United States, there is no public,
except the radio.
Almost no public. They have some, but it's not a big deal, you know. And the most informed people are people like Denmark, where public media, television, and radio work well.
And remains independent as well.
Yeah.
I mean, according to the World Press Freedom Index, more and more democratically elected political leaders are minimizing the role of the media in democratic society, and they see journalists as, you know, enemies, opposition. Why is this happening? What can we do about it?
That's a medal of honor for journalists.
Yeah, we don't trust you. Thank you.
Yes, because you know, no, I think we see right-wing politicians like Trump, etc., and Orban in Hungary attacking the press, the free press, and some other people attacking the free press. But I think this says that journalists are still doing their job.
Yeah.
And the problem is that now, for the first time in the European Union, in the last 6 months, we had 2 assassinations of 2 journalists.
Investigative journalists.
So that's a big problem. But it says also that there are still journalists that are trying to do their best.
Yeah. And European Parliament, considering the attacks on investigative journalists, there was actually a resolution by Barbara Spinelli here in the European Parliament that said that we need to protect better investigative journalists. Can these initiatives work? So
we have to work on that very much, and we have to protect both journalists and whistleblowers as well, because also whistleblowers is an important source of information. They're also pretty much attacked by the corrupted people, and I have also proposed that it was accepted to give every year an award to
recognize
whistleblowers
these faces and these people,
and to encourage whistleblowers or journalists that are doing their jobs, you know. because we have to encourage them and also to protect them, so for other people to come out and tell the truth, because this is very important for the societies, and also you know, tackling corruption, etc. This helps every citizen.
And as a member of a left party here in the parliament, like, what do you think about this rise of populism and the recent issues that we're having around Europe that are not being very
I'm very
pro-EU and very democratic?
I'm feeling very bad about this.
Yes.
I'm worried. I'm worried. I think that the rise of the extreme right is like you know, losing our memory of what happened. And so, you know, and that we are condemned to live again the same tragedies.
Repeat the mistakes from the past.
And so we have to we have to fight against it. We have to explain to the people,
educate people,
talk about history, and also, but also solving the problems, the real problems, the deep problems. This is the fertile ground for the extreme right to.
When people are poor, if they cannot afford to pay their bills,
the poor people, they are not feeling safe for their future. The fact that the younger generations are, for the first time after the end of the Second World War, are condemned to live worse than
their parents,
and their grandparents, which is you know, because, and this must change, and there is a possibility to change. Everything is ready for the change of this.
Vasilis, do we have any comments, questions, likes?
Oh my God, there are many people saying hello. I will go through a few names: Stefan, Jean-Marie, Barry, Elena, Christos.
Look, we have a lot
Diana,
of Greek ones.
Yes, even Jeffrey White from the UK says Kalimera to you, Mr. Kouloglou. So we also received a few questions, and for instance, this one from Fabio Fernandez actually says, what you mentioned, will the big media outlets be out of business in a few years, because more and more people seem to not be believing in those companies due to their being politically driven and having specific agendas, which makes them less biased. And Yordan Georgiev says, is there any way to combat the fake news without compromising the freedom of speech?
Oh yes, there are a lot of, we don't have to, of course there must be, besides the education we talked about, besides the strengthening the public sector in the different countries of this, besides also supporting you know, initiative from journalists, non-profit organizations to publish newspapers, to organize new radios, etc. But also there are many efforts now from different reporters organizations to establish a European network and checking the information. And one of the things they do is, you know, there is an information here, information there. They are searching at the sources of the information, so you can. There are alerts that this are fake news also. And this is one thing. And the other thing is to protect our personal data from the Facebook, etc. Because fake news, this is a combination of fake news and violation of personal data, because they are stealing the personal data, and so they know
micro-targeting audiences.
Yes, exactly.
And getting them with specific news.
Yes, yes. Targeting specific groups.
People,
and that's how the elections in the United States and also the referendum on Brexit has been influenced. It was influenced, but because not only because of the fake news. Of course, there were fake news that the Pope, for instance, supports Trump, and he loves him very much, you know. But the people not all people would believe such a nonsense.
No, you read it
know.
and you go like, okay.
Yeah, but one of they located, they targeted special undecided voters, and to those voters they send the information that Pope likes Trump, or that Obama is selling selling the veterans from the wars for the refugees, or different.
But in this
Michelle Obama is a man, you know.
But in this kind of situation, I mean, can we trust referendums, for example? How do we kind of regain this trust in the democratic processes that we had established?
Well, fighting against manipulation, both of the news and of the personal data.
And we have the GDPR now coming into force on 25th of May. Yay!
Oh yes, that's
the famous European law.
Yeah, that's very important, and it is as far as I read into the American press, the European example is used to say to the American authorities that they have to make the same, which I doubt very much if they do it.
Okay, Vasilis, anything else from there?
More and more people saying hello from all across the union.
Okay.
Actually, so.
Hi back. But I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah,
we can be back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you. I mean, you are a filmmaker. Your documentary film, "The Confessions of the Economical Hitman," was awarded, and it's really good. Recently, what have you read or seen that inspired you that you can recommend to our viewers that they should kind of check out when they have a break between the social media activities?
Well, recently I'm reading a lot of political books. One of the books I read was the autobiography of Costa Gavras, which is well-known, very famous Greek director. He has made a lot of political films, among them Z, which was very famous. And this is the title is "You Have to Go Where You Cannot Go," and this is one of the books I recommend. I have seen also excellent documentaries about the war in Syria, where very brave filmmakers stayed on the ground, stayed for a couple of years. One recently I saw is a film on a woman who is a captain. I don't remember her name exactly, but she's a captain in the guerrilla of Kurds.
Okay.
And so and the filmmaker is following her for 2 years. Wow. The fighter is wounded. A long, unbelievable story. So I have seen a lot of things.
Viewers, Google it and watch it. It's really good. And regarding today, what does it mean for you to participate in the Open Day? Why are these kind of events important for the Parliament to open door and invite citizens?
Because usually we are living in a kind of aquarium. Yeah. You know, kind of. I'm saying this mainly for the Parliament in Strasbourg, which looks like an aquarium from the.
It does a little bit from the outside.
Yeah,
we are the fish.
Where fish are talking, but nobody listens, and they cannot communicate with each other. And I think it's very important to establish better contact relations with the citizens concerned.
Okay. And what would you say to people who are interested in the institutions but are not able to come to Brussels today? Even though we have a sunny day, guys, this never happens.
We have Facebook.
Follow us on Facebook.
Facebook Live. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for being our guest. Vasilis, do you have any more last comments, or that's it?
No, many more people saying hello everyone. Thank you very much for sending comments and hello.